Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wingarvasio, and today we're going to be covering Chapter 7, Lesson 7.1, Adjacent and Vertical Angles. Reference pages to this could be found in your Google Classroom 7.1, pages 272 through 273. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I would like for you to copy down these key ideas. There are three important words on this slide that you would need to know. So we're going to first start off with adjacent angles. What are adjacent angles? Adjacent angles are angles when you have two that when they share the same common side, they have the same vertex. In other words, the angles touch each other. So I have here 1 and 2. Here's 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are adjacent because they share the same vertex. This is a vertex and the same side. They're next to each other. Adjacent means next to each other. Just think about add next to each other. 2 and 4, they're not adjacent because they're across from each other. So adjacent are next to. Another one that is next to each other is 2 and 3, and also 1 and 4. Is 3 and 1 an adjacent? No, they're not next to each other. So it has to be next to each other. Now, vertical angles are two angles that when they have opposite angles, they form by intersections of two lines. In other words, they're opposites from each other. So 1 and 3, they're opposite, so they're vertical. And 4 and 2. Notice they're not next to, but they're across. Okay, so those are called vertical angles. Now, congruent angles means they have the same measurement. Notice how 1 and 3 has a little loop. 1 and 3 is the same. And then 4 and 2, they have two loop lines. Those are the same. And those are called congruent angles. We'll talk more about it in this lesson, so we're going to go ahead and continue. If you need, go ahead and pause this video to jot down this slide. Okay, so another thing you also need to know for this chapter are the following angles. You learned this in the 6th, if not 5th grade. So an acute angle is less than 90. Here's an acute. Make sure you copy that down. Copy down the whole entire angles on this page. A right angle equals to 90. An obtuse angle is greater than 90 but less than 180. And a straight line is 180. Again, feel free to pause the video and copy the slide down. Okay, now an easy way you can remember the word adjacent, as we just learned in our other two slides, think about the states, okay? The state Maine and the state New Hampshire. They have a borderline right here. And this borderline here means that they are adjacent. Maine is next to New Hampshire. So when you hear the word adjacent, it means next to. So Maine is next to New Hampshire, so they are adjacent. This is an adjacent. So that's an easy way you can remember what adjacent is. They share the same common border. All right, let's go ahead and start with our examples. I have 3 today. So in our first example, we're going to be naming the angles. So it says here, name a pair of adjacent angles. In the last slide, I mentioned to you that adjacent means next to. Okay, so which angles? There's so many here that will be next to each other. Now, when you name an angle, you name an angle using 3 points. So you can't just name an angle with 1. You can't say B. B is just a point. So you have to name an angle with 3 points. So we can say angle. I take it back. We'll say angle A, B, F. And I take it back, meaning you can name the angle with just B. You can say angle B. But angle B, you'll have to say, is it angle B this way or this way or this way or this way? So that's why it gets confusing. So we're going to say A, B, F. What is A, B, F adjacent to? How about F, B, E? So we can say F, B, and E. They are adjacent angles. What else is also adjacent? We can say ABC. So these are one group. I'll do another color. ABC is adjacent to, let me fix that really quick. ABC is adjacent to, we can say CBD. CBD. And I know they're not always in alphabetical order, but try your best to make it in alphabetical order if you can. Are there any other angles that are next to each other? I do see, how about CBD, angle CBD, C, B, and D is congruent to DB, I'm sorry, not congruent, it's adjacent to DBE. So D, B, and E. Again, adjacent means what, everybody? Next to. So we're going to go ahead and fill that. All right, now a pair of vertical angles. For vertical angles are angles that are across from each other. So if you notice, angle F and BA is going to be adjacent to DBC. So angle. And notice how every time I write an angle, I have to use a symbol. So don't forget to put the symbol before you write the letters. FBA is vertical to CBD because they are across from each other. CBD. Are there any other angles that are across from each other? I don't see any other ones. So in this answer for vertical, we only have one. So again, if you didn't understand what I showed you in this section, go ahead and pause the video and replay this part again. Now go ahead and try this on your own. I would like for you to look at the two angles here and see if you can come up with the following. Can you find adjacent angles in number 1 and vertical angles in number 1, as well as adjacent angle in number 2 and vertical angles in number 2? So you need to find adjacent and vertical for each picture, okay? All right, example 2, using adjacent angles and vertical angles. Now that we know what an adjacent and a vertical angle is, now we're going to go ahead and solve for x. Now, remember, an adjacent angle and a vertical angle will always be congruent. So if you notice, if this is 70, this is going to be the same, so this will also be 70. So the answer to x is 70. You didn't have to solve. Now, if this is 70 and you know that a straight line is 180, what you can do is take 180, subtract 70, go ahead and put subtract 70, and so 80 subtract 180 subtract 70 is going to be 110. Now, if this is 110, this one across will also be 110. So again, vertical angles will always have the same measurement, okay? All right, let's go ahead and look at B. For B, to solve for x, I need to know how much is this angle right here. Now I see there's a box here, so that tells me that this whole entire angle is going to be 90. If this is 31, that means 90 subtract 31. There we go. So we're going to go 90 subtract 31 is going to be how much? So you can do that. You can do the math on the side. 90, oh, that's a 31, by the way. 90 subtract 31 is going to be 50. What? Okay. 90 subtract 31 is going to be 59. So if I have 59 here, that means this angle right here is going to be 59. But we have a problem. It says x plus 4. So this cannot just be 59. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up an equation. So we're going to say 31 plus x plus 4 will equal to how much? How much is this whole entire angle? 90. So when we did it this way, we noticed that this is 59, but it can't be 59 only because we have a 4 here. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms here. 31 and 4 is 35. So 35 plus x equals 90. Now, same thing we did in our previous chapter. To solve for x, we're going to subtract 35 to both sides. So subtract 35, and that will give us x. So 90 subtract 35. So x is going to equal 55. Now, if you wanted to use this way, the red way, we can still continue this. We can say, well, if this is 59, but then we have to add 4 here, okay? So can we just say 59, take away 4 will give us how much? 55. So it's almost the same, except this one you have to subtract the 4 because this whole thing is 59, but we have an extra 4, so we subtracted the 4. Either way, they're both going to be 55 degrees. So the missing answer for x is 55. Okay? All right. Now in example 3, and this time you're going to have to go ahead and draw what a vertical angle is. Now remember, a vertical angle, okay, I'm sorry, a pair of vertical angles that measures 40. Now, this is called a protractor. You might have seen this in your previous grade. Now with the protractor, it tells you the measurements here. So we start here. We can see that 40 degrees, we always start with the bottom, is going to be at the number 40 right here. Now if you don't have a protractor, you can always estimate that since you know that this is 90, half of 90 is 45, you can estimate that this line will be 40. Now to make a vertical angle, I would just simply extend this line and extend this line. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And there we go. We have our vertical angle. Now you might not have a protractor at home to do this. That's okay. Again, you can always estimate the drawing. Okay? There you go. And these are vertical angles. Is this question mark and this question mark vertical? Yes. So now I would like for you to go ahead and continue on your own. Problems 3, 4, 5. And for number 6, again, you can just estimate the 75 degrees if you don't have a protractor. All right? All right. Exit ticket. Go ahead and answer the following true or false questions, 5 of them, and then we'll talk about this and along with your on your own. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.